Hey everyone, Chris here. I'm just going to jump right to it. No intro this week, no theme music, none of it. So Andrew and I just recorded a mini episode about a upcoming Patreon that we hope to launch. If you're not familiar, Patreon is a way for people to crowdfund their projects on a recurring monthly basis. It's kind of like a Kickstarter, but we don't have any funding goals and we don't have a big project we're trying to launch. The Chefs Without Restaurants organization is something that I really love and want to keep as a free resource for as long as possible. But there are a number of costs that we're incurring with this. And if you like what we're doing and want to support us, we'd really love that. So this is a quick 15-minute mini episode where we just talk about some of the goals that we have for the organization and what we're looking for from you. And we want to hear what you'd like for some of the reward goals for the Patreon. So please take a couple minutes to listen to this episode. We'd also love if you would share it with people so that we can get the word out. As always, thanks so much. And you know how to reach us if you have any questions.
Welcome, guests. This is the Chefs Without Restaurants podcast. Today we have no guest. It's just me, Andrew.
And Chris.
And we're drinking beer here at Jug Bridge Brewery. Shout out to them for the sponsorship, letting us use their space. And we got an idea, by no means an original idea, but I think it's something very important that we should get into for our podcast. And we hope that we can get support from you guys.
Yeah, we've been talking about this, I guess, on and off since kind of we started this podcast. It's about funding. You know, I started Chefs Without Restaurants like 2 years ago. I thought it was going to be this small group of people. And it's grown into a fairly big thing. And I've always said that I wanted to keep it as a free resource for chefs and people looking to build their business. But there are costs incurred there. I have two websites, both chefswithoutrestaurants.com and .org. You've got to pay for domains there. But now the podcast. There's a lot that comes along with starting a podcast. Mostly, you know, we're using Buzzsprout as our, hosting platform. That runs upwards of $30 a month. We want the quality of sound to be as good as possible. So that requires microphones and all kinds of things. And basically, I would love a little money to support this Chefs Without Restaurants project.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to invest. Like, honestly, it gets by, but the one comment that I get the most when people I know listen to the podcast, fellow food truckers, my dad listens to some podcasts, people are always like, oh, there's always a comment about the audio. We're putting it out, so we're just working with what we got right now, but we definitely want to improve on all aspects, but that's kind of one of the main focuses we have on here. That's the first thing that any support would go to is some better audio equipment. We want to make sure the listening experience is enjoyable for our whole audience as it grows. I know that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. And we appreciate everybody who's like stuck with us through the
growing pains
of audio. We've gotten better. I don't know if anybody noticed, but it's been a little better.
And there's a lot with figuring out how to do editing. I mean, I'm a chef. I'm not a professional podcaster. So going back and kind of listening to the early episodes, you hear some of the things that you could have done better. Just today, I re-recorded the intro and outro in my closet, my bedroom closet in my house, because I read a lot about how the sound quality in a closet is great because you have all the clothes muffling that. So we're learning on the fly and figuring that out, but also, you know, putting some money back into equipment like microphones and such. A couple weeks ago, we were in Baltimore. We used a professional recording studio. We threw some money to them at the Grotto to help fund their project and business and what they're doing. So there are some costs that we incur just from doing the podcast.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that the support would be going to. Rental space, audio equipment, platform subscriptions like Chris mentioned for Buzzsprout. Travel, you know, we like he said, we went down to Baltimore and did some episodes. We're planning to go to the DC area pretty soon. And in March 1st and 2nd, right?
Yeah.
We're going to the Philly Chef Conference. And we definitely plan on doing some networking there. We're going to try and get some episodes recorded while we're there. And, you know, the travel costs and the ticket costs, which we're incurring at the moment. But it's definitely something that the support would be going to as well.
And just as I look at how I want to grow the business, I want to keep this as close to free as possible for people. So, right now we're a great network that shares gig opportunities. I know there's people out there in our community who, myself personally, I've shared literally thousands of dollars in gigs the past 2 years. Someone contacts me to do a holiday party and I'm already booked, so I share that. I know there's people out there who've taken those gigs, have made, $2,000 on the job. I've never asked for any kind of referral fee or any kind of cut of that. I'm happy to do it. I've gotten plenty of gigs myself. But as I continue to do those things, that takes a lot of time. And I'm not necessarily looking to be compensated for the time, but just some money to kind of offset what I'm already doing for that and help the business grow. Could we grow bigger and faster if I hired an administrative assistant? Having some money, I could potentially look at hiring someone to help manage things like the social media. Right now I'm going onto Instagram. I'm taking the photos that you tag me in or mention me in, and then I'm having to take the time to, repost them, maybe edit the verbiage and doing all that. But I could do a lot more if someone else was actually doing that. And I'm not saying I'm going to or want to outsource that, but just looking at things like that. If we had a little money, maybe we could hire an admin person. Building a database of chefs where I have your names, all of your social media info in there, your contact info, so that when someone's looking for a chef in Tempe, Arizona, we've got that in the database. All of that takes time. I personally have my own business, Perfect Little Bites. Andrew has Pizza Llama. So right now we're both doing that on the side for free, just to kind of build the network and keep it growing. But if we're going to grow exponentially, I probably am going to need to hire someone to help with some of that stuff, and some money would help with that.
Yeah, and even just, growing that platform as Chefs Without Restaurants. I mean, most of our listeners, if you're not, you probably should be. If this podcast is relevant to you, it's probably relevant to you to join the Facebook group, which is where the whole organization is located right now. But if you're listening to this podcast, I mean, I can't see why it's not relevant for you to be on the Chefs Without Restaurants group. At least, put in a request, I guess it is.
Yeah, so right now the Chefs Without Restaurants Facebook group, I moderate and I approve all requests, basically because I want to keep all these advertisers and other people out. I want to keep it relevant for people who are chefs looking for jobs or advice or whatever, and not have all these advertisers and things in there and just people who aren't in the food industry. So we're moderating that group, and that's a great place where I'm right now personally sharing a lot of gigs that I get that I'm not able to take. I would love to see a lot more people sharing job opportunities that they have that they're not able to take. So I think the more people we have on the platform and the more gig sharing opportunities we pass along, the better we're going to get with that.
Most definitely. And I think, me and Chris have been talking about a lot of ways in which we can grow the platform, aside from just gig sharing, but as we talk about sponsorships and affiliate programs and being brand ambassadors with the podcast, Chris brings up a good point of being somewhat of a conduit for brand ambassadors to the chefs in our organization. So whereas the podcast or Chris might not be a good brand ambassador or affiliate to a tomato company, say I wasn't on the podcast, but I'm just a member of the group, me as a pizza maker could be a great ambassador for a tomato company. So those are the type of things that we talk about offering. We eventually would love to be a conduit for brands to give out sponsorships to chefs. Whether you're a big name or just a small time local influencer. But brands are looking for that more and more now, where you got a few thousand followers. Like, that might be worth it if your following is niche enough.
Are you using a food product that you really love and you talk about all the time? Are you wearing an apron that you love and you want to talk about? That kind of stuff. I'm hoping to connect brands and members of our community. So I guess what this comes down to is, how do we monetize? And we've kind of talked about how and when. I've always said that I want to keep this group free and not charge a membership like we're the American Culinary Federation or the Personal Chefs Association. And I think what makes the most sense is we're going to be launching a Patreon really soon. And if you're not familiar, it's a way to support a creator on a month-to-month basis. So instead of doing a Kickstarter where I say I want to raise $20,000, we're going to have tiers, and it's, pay what you want, or pay, for $1 a month you get this, for $5 a month you get that. And a lot of artists, creators, websites, brands are doing that. And we're going to be starting to put together a Patreon in the next couple of weeks. We had wanted to maybe launch at the new year, January 1st. We had a lot going on, but Andrew and I are kind of looking at what the Patreon looks like, the things that we think would be beneficial to offer. But we also want to hear feedback from you. What would you like to get out of a reward-backed Patreon? What kind of things are you looking for? Some of the things we're looking at are Chefs Without Restaurants branded gear, whether that be shirts, coffee mugs, pint glasses.
I like the idea of knife kits.
Knife kits.
Aprons. Maybe we'll get a apron deal and get some Chefs Without Restaurants aprons made. The merch is that's just a popular one that I've seen before with other Patreon accounts.
And then we're kind of looking at things like consulting, one-on-ones, whether it be a phone call, a Skype, something like that. Do you need help building a website? Maybe for a certain backing, we'll build you a WordPress website. Maybe for a certain backing, we'll talk to you for 3 hours about your business and help you with financials. There's a lot of things that we can bring to the table. So we're looking for feedback on kind of what things you would like to see as sponsorship rewards. We have a lot of cool things already planned, but before we launch it, we'd like to hear what you're thinking about.
Yeah, and definitely, some of the other things are exclusive content. I really like the idea of a call-in episode, whether that be with a guest or mini-sodes, where you guys, as the patrons from Patreon, would get to call in with your own questions and comments, concerns, anything about the business, and we can weigh in. And as time goes on and we get more guests on and we're learning more, and from our experience, hopefully we can give some good insight on whatever questions and concerns you might have as a patron. And also the exclusive content. Did you bring that up?
No.
So we're also thinking about maybe we could do some exclusive content where that's really, really focused mini episodes where, say, we get a food truck operator on, right? Who's very successful, been in the game for a long time, maybe has multiple food trucks. We record an episode with them, release to the public. We will also record a mini episode with them about something very specific that they are successful in that will be valuable to those in the community. So that's another thing that we're thinking about offering. So, I mean, we bring up all these things to really just ask you, what would you want? Would you not want it at all? Would you pay $2? Would you pay $5? Would you pay $50? We want to know what would be of value to you and how much value we could potentially bring. I mean, we have a lot of ideas and we're going to build this thing regardless. We're probably going to make the Patreon regardless, but as much feedback as we can get from our listeners, we want that. So whatever feedback you have, anything, the platforms to hit us up on. You can leave a review about it on the episode. You can hit us up on Instagram, the email, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Once you hear this episode, please let us know what kind of subscription you'd be willing to do, how much you might be willing to give, what kind of things you want to see, what kind of value you want us to bring. I mean, we're here for you guys, so really whatever it is that we can do for you is what we want to do. And especially if you're here to support us as well, we're trying to give that right back to you. We don't, we're not just looking for handouts. So
yeah, I still am adamant about wanting to keep this group free for users and not charge any kind of membership fee or any kind of referral fee for gigs. I think if you know me, if you know Andrew, we both have our own food businesses that we've been doing. Neither one of us is like a tech bro trying to get rich off of other people. That's the kind of stuff I hate. I'm not looking to be a thumbtack and charge you $30 for a gig opportunity. I'm not looking to charge you $250 to join some kind of culinary membership group. But just there are fees that we incur to run this organization, and anything to kind of offset that would be appreciated. So that's just kind of what I want to put out there. And we're going to be working on this in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to wait for some of your feedback to see what you think.
And if you've listened this long, one other thing that we've been considering also is a local tier. So we're in Frederick. We frequent the Baltimore and DC area as well. So it would be a regional local tier, not just to Frederick, but a local tier. We just want to know if any of you local people would be interested in the DC, Frederick, Baltimore area in a local tier package where we also offer meetups and seminars. Like it's kind of endless. There's all types of things we could do, but the fact that we're right here in this area, we can provide a lot of value in person to the people in this region, Maryland, in the DMV, I guess you would say.
So we're going to get that pulled together pretty soon. So we're going to release this episode soon. We want to hear back from you really soon. And then we're just going to go and push that out there and see what happens.
Hell yeah. I just finished my beer, so it's time to wrap this up. Let's go. Remember to subscribe, comment, follow, like.
Guys, there's still only 7.
Review?
There's only 7 reviews of our podcast.
Review that shit.
I mean, and that's iTunes stats. I know a lot of people listen on other platforms. We have over 2,000 listens and only 7 people have reviewed it. Please go on and put a rating. That's my plea.
Yeah. Even if you just say one word, or if you just rate it.
Just rate it. 5-star rating.
Fuck it. 4-star rating.
4-star rating.
We don't care.
Whatever.
Get your quality better. 4 stars. Sound quality. All right, we can accept that. We just need ratings, reviews. Do we need it? I don't know, but it would be nice if you listen, please and thank you. And with that said,
peace out.
Peace out.